Hi, I'm Jeff Crabtree. I currently reside in Kerrville, Texas, where I have the privilege of working at Fredericksburg United Methodist Church as the orchestra director and the praise band leader, as well as playing trumpet and teaching music and lessons in the Kerrville Hill Country area. And I'm making this set of videos for my personal students at Tybee High School, as well as for those of you that don't have access to a teacher. Quick note, I want to mention that if you have the ability to go get lessons with a teacher, please take that opportunity. It's valuable. There's feedback between you and the instructor. However, if you're not able to have access to a teacher, I hope that these videos will help you get a better grasp of your all-region music and help you get to the goals you've set for the semester, region, area, or state. So let's dive in. I'm working with worm number 9, and we're just going to look through the music real quick. I want you to notice the key signature and time signature for this particular piece. The key signature looks like it's in concert B flat or our C major scale. But if I look at the first note and I look at the last note, it ends on A and starts on A, which tells me this piece is going to be in a minor key. So instead of sounding happy, it's going to sound a little bit sad. Look at measure 18 and the measure right before 18, so 17 and 18. You will notice that temporarily you go from A minor to C major, which is what the key signature looks like. So it goes to the relative major key. And then we're back into minor. If you'll check out your accidentals, so for your key of A, you'll have 3 sharps typically, F sharp, G sharp, and C sharp. And if you look at the piece, those are your accidentals that you have most often. F sharps and G sharps. Measure 4, I want you to pay special attention to the G sharp at the end of that measure. And let's keep skimming the music. I'm going to talk about the errata sheet. So measure 10, there should be a slur over your first 3 eighth notes. And as you keep going in measure 16, you need to add a slur as well, all the way to the downbeat of that G above the staff. And those are the only modifications we need to make to this particular excerpt. This is a slower piece. So typically in 6/8, a lot of us are used to the triplet fill. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 1 lolly, 2 lolly. And that's not this piece. This piece, the dotted quarter note does not get the beat. It's the 8th note. So instead of 1 lolly, 2 lolly, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. It's going to feel a bit like the pieces in 6/4 rather than in a nice triplet feel. So your quarter notes are going to feel like half notes. Your 8th notes are going to feel like quarter notes. The 16th notes will feel more like 8th notes. And your 32nd notes are not as fast as you're probably going to want to play them. They are a little bit slower. They're going to feel like 16th notes. The main idea for this particular piece is it is a legato piece. It's all about expression and making for sure your timing's good with expression. Bad timing does not equal good expression. As well as doing really, really harsh dynamics is not great expression. So make for sure as you're working it up that you're really being as musical as possible. Singing through the melody a lot will help, as well as buzzing as if you're singing. Looking at the end of the piece, I want you to look at the last 2 measures. You have nothing but an arpeggio. So you're playing an A, an E, and a C. And if we put those in order, that would be an A minor triad. And one of the ways to work up this measure is to do it slow. You can do it backwards. You can do it forwards. But to do lip slurs every day will really help you with this particular, the dexterity, the flexibility it takes to play the last 2 measures of this piece really well. I want you to look at measure 26 and notice how the pattern repeats. It's low A, C, B, E, and then you just take it up an octave. So notice those patterns throughout this piece. The melody you have in measure 5 and 6 repeats itself or comes back with a little modification in measure 23 and 24. Again, with those 32nd notes in measure 24, they're just like 16th notes. So 1, 2, 3, 1, ta 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 dee. That'll get you a really clean rhythm. And as I'm skimming the piece, measure 14 is going to be an issue. Measure 7, we've got lots of leaps throughout the piece, a lot of octave leaps from A to A above the staff. And I'm going to include some videos where I'm giving you some practice techniques to work on just those examples. Practice suggestions and ideas to use with the videos I'm about to create. I want you to be as creative as you possibly can. Here are some strategies that I use to fix issues. If I have an airflow issue, I can fix it in a couple of ways. I can fix it with breathing techniques. So think about Breathing Gym. If you don't know about that, I'll link in the doobly-doo down below so you can check out Breathing Gym. One of the best breathing techniques they use is the hand in front of the face and a nice O breath where the wind rushes past your hand. So the wind's going to go past your hand and make this sound. Another technique I really like to use is the mouthpiece. And since I've created videos, you can buzz along with me. As you buzz, the thing you need to consider is making your tone, the tone of the buzz, not as pretty as you might want it. It shouldn't sound like pinchy, but we need to have lots of air going through the buzz. One thing you might use is a napkin or a Kleenex to see if your air is actually moving through as you buzz. The other technique I like to use is my lead pipe. For tricky rhythms or if I'm having articulation issues, I can play on my lead pipe. It has a couple different pitches. Should be around a concert E flat. And if I add my valve combination to it, for like measure 1, I can work on keeping my airflow consistent and my articulation as consistent as possible while fingering. And that's going to be a little bit of a challenge when you first pick it up. Or if I'm working on the octaves, that was measure 6 and 7, a little bit fast, but that's the idea, is I can only focus it down to 2 different pitch ranges. My high notes are going to be the higher pitch, and my low notes are the lower pitch, while I still finger along. And another technique that I really like to use that helps with pitch, these are pitch drills, is a bobby pin. And if you don't know what a bobby pin is, it's this little device right here. I'll put it on the screen as well. But if I put my bobby pin right in my lead pipe and then put my mouthpiece on the bobby pin, I can actually practice using a bit more air. It's kind of like buzzing the mouthpiece, but not quite. It makes you use more air and you can center your pitch. And I didn't quite hit that A in pitch, so I can go back and do it a couple times until I get it exactly where I want it to go. So that's a really good technique to use with the videos I've created. And there's just a myriad of techniques you can use. Breathing techniques are also great, where when you're resting, instead of just resting and fingering, maybe you do a breathing pattern. You can use air patterns in one of 3 ways. You can do it as an embouchure building tool, where you aim your air at the center of the mouthpiece and do the air pattern while fingering along with your music. You could put your lips around the mouthpiece, and you're using more warm air that has a little bit less resistance, or you can go with the least resistance air pattern, minus just doing an air pattern, and put your lips around the lead pipe. And on the videos that are following this video, you'll see that I play an example. There is a pause for you to play the example. So we can play back and forth. You could also do some breathing drills while I'm playing. You can do the video where you use the bobby pin while I play, or where you buzz your mouthpiece, or where you sing along. But the idea is that you can use it in a lot of different ways. And the main idea for the whole video set that I'm making is we're going to stair-step these harder measures, where we start with a slower tempo and we gradually increase that tempo until we get it up to the tempo. So I'm going to start at like 50 beats a minute for the 8th note. I'll go up to 60, back to 50, go up to 70, back to 50, and then 76, which is the written tempo. And the idea is I always have that slow measure where I can go back and center and make for sure my rhythm is exactly spot on, and do different practice techniques with it. I hope you have a whole lot of fun and have a happy practice session.